All right, welcome everybody to this month's edition of the Power Platform DC User Group. We're very excited to have you here and very excited to have our speaker, Artur Zielinski. Dear sir, what are you going to be talking about tonight?
Hello, hi everybody. Yes, tonight it's only just 4 minutes past 11 p.m. for me. So if I sound a little bit tired, that's because I am. But I'm delighted to be here, and thanks so much for attending, everybody. I think it's hopefully it's gonna be a good session. I'm doubt that we're gonna need a full hour. I think somebody mentioned that before, that in our happy hour, which I really did enjoy. The fact that this is not an era of 50 minutes news, so it's definitely not going to be a 50 minutes news story. But what I'm about to show you, hopefully it's going to be of interest, is a little showcase of our capability. So if I don't mind, I'm going to just share my screen now. If you guys don't mind, let me share that. Let me know when you can see it.
Got it.
Yeah, okay. So I'm a co-founder. Okay, cool. So, as I said, my name is Artur Zielinski. I'm a co-founder of a company called CRM Bot. If you've sort of accepted my invitation on LinkedIn, I've seen any of my content. You've also seen that I'm related to Hitachi Solutions Europe, but for the time being. But I'm a dynamic sort of solutions architect for over a decade. But my core interest has always been AI. I've done a lot of AI. I've got a degree. I've done a lot of courses in AI, sort of machine learning, but over the time it sort of migrated into interest in conversational aspects and natural language understanding. And me with some friends, we've decided that we're going to attempt to build something that is, ready for enterprise implementations and works within Microsoft Dynamics 365 ecosystem or Power Platform ecosystem. It's basically an app, right? So CRM Bot is you can treat it as an extension to your core system, whether that's Dynamics or Dataverse or Power Platform. We also cater for clients who are not Microsoft orientated, so we are able to sort of host it for you. But that's very rare. Most of our engagements are with clients that are already using Dynamics or using Power Platform at the very least. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the company or talking about the product, because hopefully you'll see some of that emerge. And then if we've got time after the showcase, I can answer any questions. In fact, I'm going to keep the chat open. If you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, just drop it in the chat or just interrupt me. Just don't use the raise hand, because nobody can see that. I mean, I love Teams. If there's anybody here who's done anything with Teams, I love Teams, but that's a useless feature as far as I'm concerned anyway. So cool. So yeah, showcase. Basically, I mean, we all know what chatbots are. I'm sure most of you have used Virtual Agent or used Drift or ChatFuel or any of that. Boost AI, Ultimate. There's loads of products out there. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about chatbots. This is really not about chatbots. This is about conversational AI applied to your sales processes. So quite a few clients have asked us, because we're such a how would I say, it's a platform that we can build everything on top. So we don't really have like templates or industry templates. So they've asked us, so what can you do to showcase really selling capability? Most of organizations have D365 for sales. I think I've read somewhere that this is by far the most popular module of Dynamics. So what we've done is, and I've sort of, instead of sort of making something up, I've actually thought, why don't we build a sales bot that demonstrates this capability out of D365 for sales elements? So you can see the system. This is a demo environment. It's just vanilla. There is no customization here whatsoever. And you will see that I've got, a bunch of products set up here, and these products have price lists, and these price lists have discounts, and these price lists have different currencies, all the standard out of the box stuff. There is nothing special, nothing crazy here going on here, right? So what I'm about to show you really you'll see this interacting with this system, and you'll see why our product aligns so well to dynamic capabilities. We will take your standard sort of opportunity to quote process and sort of conversationalize it in the form of a form, if you pardon the pun. So before we actually go any further, I need to explain some underlying technologies. As anybody on this call, please just raise your hand or tell me, are you not familiar with what adaptive cards are?
Everybody? Say again what that is.
Adaptive cards. It's a Microsoft product, been out for a while, but let me just explain it briefly in case you're not too familiar. So adaptive cards is a Microsoft framework for building those really nicely looking input interfaces. If you see, you're about to have a meeting on Outlook, and on the bottom right-hand side, there is a little pop-up that says, your meeting is about to start. That's a form of an adaptive card. Quite a few of those cards, like Snooze, you see calendar reminder, that's an adaptive card. A lot of the stuff you see on Teams or on Azure DevOps or in Outlook, if you've ever seen an approval flow, which I'm sure most of you have seen, that's also a form of an adaptive card. So that's an underlying technology. We work with it a lot in order to build those nice interfaces for Teams and for web components. And yeah, if you're not familiar with it, it's totally free and it's really, really cool. You can essentially use this sort of visual designer to build your card, infuse it with some data, and then do cool stuff with it. So anyway, that's all about this. I've explained a little bit about dynamics. Let me just then essentially bring you to the core of this presentation, which is our website. And on this website, we've got Make It Happen button. And this Make It Happen button opens this form. And you will notice a couple of things. First of all, it's a modal experience. So it's so, mobile friendly and all that. And we've made a conscious decision rather than trying to embed something within the portal. It's so much, in our experience, so much better to bring a modal experience, which still keeps the website behind the scenes, but it focuses you on that element here. And here we can go through the journey. Now, the one thing before we go through the journey, I'll explain how it works, is you see behind the scenes, this is just an adaptive card that has a bunch of what we call containers, or what they call containers. And containers are just like folders for things. So essentially, instead of showing you this long form that would be very boring and sort of difficult for you to fill out, you're about to do something, you don't know how much you've got left, and if you see, a form with like 10, 15 questions, you're probably just going to give up. Here you just see one. So I'm just going to put my email address. I think I've mentioned before that regex validation is that, we've got put regex on most of our fields. So that was horrendous, but never mind. We all love regex. And then you see the next question, and you see this corresponds to this card. The next container has this question. The next container has this question. So it's sort of, if you've ever used a product called Typeform, it's quite similar approach where you sort of put only one question at a time and you put an animation in between. So we answer some questions about the company, nothing really particularly exciting here. And then we come to this question, which is about, which industry are you in? And I think you guys mentioned most of you are sort of working in government or government related features. So let's just select government. And then lastly, you just tell us, we could be quite clever and try to ask you where you are in and then try to be honest, it's just for demonstration, just pick your currency, whatever. Let's pick dollars. You'll notice that now the screen is sort of loading for a few seconds. And the reason why that's happening, let me explain before we go any further, is the core advantage of this approach to building forms over something like Microsoft Forms, right? Or any other form builder, because from what you've seen so far, it's not really that much different. Now, this is what makes it different. So what we've done is in the middle of the form, we've instigated a call to our backend CRM system in order to get some data out and actually go, okay, this guy said he's in government, so let's just make sure that these questions are fit for purpose. And I know that there are certain form packages and products that allow you to build this sort of logic. It's not uncommon, but there aren't any, as far as I'm concerned, that allow you to do it programmatically without, or not programmatically, I mean, essentially it's a backend process rather than being something that's embedded within a form. This can be totally dynamically defined. It will make more sense in a second, but in some other examples. But essentially, the whole point I'm trying to make is in the middle of a question or between one container and the next, we can instigate a Power Automate call that goes and does something. and brings those details back in a very much unstructured fashion. So we're not passing parameters, we're essentially passing objects, which mean that I can, define unlimited amount of these things, and they can have additional logic behind the scenes, and none of that has to be coded in some form building software. It's just your standard flows. Does that make sense? I hope it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Keep going. I'm loving it.
Cool. All right. So let's go. So let's just select a few of those options. And let's say that I want a chatbot on website, because why not? And then, I'm just going to say I want audio because, I like audio. And the reason I selected audio is to show you another cool thing we've got, which is which relates to my previous point, is that because you're able to call different processes behind the scenes, we're now embedding a YouTube video of our showcase for audio capabilities because you said you want audio. So from a selling perspective, think of how this can be used. So the customer is asking for a specific feature. You can say, oh, by the way, we've got this demonstration, which really means you should go with us, Mr. Customer. So it's a proactive selling. It's what every good salesman should have, a back of brochures and showing them when they're applicable. So here you can, listen to our recording. I'm not going to make you listen to that recording. Don't worry, you can find it on your own time if you want to. We've got really cool audio capabilities, by the way. It's on our YouTube channel. So then, you've watched it or you didn't watch it, and you move to the next step. Now, this is another cool bit for those of you who are more development sort of orientated. So this control is if you've used adaptive cards, you'll know that there is nothing that does this. There is absolutely no control for this. So what we've done is we've extended the adaptive cards to work with any material UI components. So anything like sliders, progress bars, which you see at the bottom, that little refresh button, these are all essentially custom adaptive cards elements that we are passing through our engine and demonstrating those. So I'll be showing you some JSON in a second, and you'll notice there are some elements that you're not gonna find here because Microsoft gives you an option to input a number. We've converted that option to essentially make it a nice slider because we wanted more visual and more sort of interactive way. From a functional perspective, all we're asking you here is, how many customers do you have? And, if you go over 3,000, then that's enterprise anyway. So let's just say that on an average month, you can hope for, 650 customers, right? Should be good enough. And then you say, okay, how many interactions per month? So let's say that they maybe interact with us, 4 times a month, or let's say, let's make it 3 times a month. Let's not make it anything crazy. So then what it does, it actually took all the information we needed in order to generate a quote. As our license model is based per usage. So we, let me just see if it's a demo. Hang on. Have I upset it? No, I think I've upset it with something. Let me just try again. Just see where it's stuck. Sorry, demo got striking again. What's upset it? Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do some very, very, very quick debugging. I'm gonna just say that I'm gonna turn it into an opportunity and say how easy it is to fix this stuff if something is not working. So I'm just gonna take an adaptive card and notice that, yeah, I'm indeed missing some. I've basically got a bad JSON here. I don't know how that happened. It was working all fine before. So let me just fix that.
I'm not the only one that suffers this problem.
Yeah, I know. Let me just, I don't know how it's, to be honest, happened because it was working fine literally half an hour ago. But let me just very briefly fix that so we don't get stuck. This was, so where was I? There is a comma missing here somewhere, but I don't see where it's missing. Here, I think I've got 2 open brackets here. That was it, yeah. And I don't have the same problem again here on this side, I don't think. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, just to. All right, let's just try again, and I'll be brief this time, Okay. Hopefully that will work this time. Let's just select B2B for now. Still $1. Okay, I don't want any of those. So here we've got a different video showing our team's capability. And then we're going to select these customers, and God, I hope it worked now. Let's just see. Yes, it worked. Okay, sorry about that. So now we've basically calculated that for for the amount of customers you have and the amount of interactions per month, you're qualifying for a basic plan, which stands at about $600 per month for 2,000 sessions. And that's, more or less, sort of ballpark figure, but I mean, this is our basic plan. Now, what's interesting is how we've actually arrived at that number is by using our pricing from Dynamics. So behind the scenes in our flow, if I open this this flow that runs on this question, and we go to here, and we essentially have this sort of calculate sessions formula that goes simply, number of customers times number of times per month they talk to us. It's not difficult math. And then it goes, okay, if it's less than our threshold for basic license, go and say you're qualifying for basic license, otherwise qualify for the enhanced license. And with enhanced licenses, you get discounts. So in a sec, I'll show you another journey where we calculate those discounts, but you basically get that experience directly from Dynamics. And here we've got our opportunity that we've generated. You'll see that, you've got the details. I think I've created two. So you see, this is the one that we've just done, industry B2B and the current situation. And then in product, we've got our product, which is, fully set up, and we're going to be building on top of that opportunity. Okay, so that's how much it would cost if you wanted to just use the license. Great. So now let's find out how long it's going to take to get you set up. And this is where we show some different type of selling. So first of all, I mean, the most important decision, are you currently on the Dynamics 365? As I've mentioned before, some of our customers are still not on Dynamics, so they don't use Dynamics. So if you don't use Dynamics, we can basically host it and manage it fully on our side if you don't want to touch the data, if you're not interested. But most people will say, yes, I want to host it myself. So I want it on my tenant, in my flow, with my license and all of my side. So it never leaves, the data never leaves my own tenant. And then, what sort of features, and these are some of the features that we offer. So AI capabilities, which I'll show you some in a sec. Authentication, all sorts of different authentication protocols supported, custom branding, so something like that, language translation, sentiment analysis, telephony audio, etc., etc. So let's just pick a few. I mean, it doesn't matter what you pick. It's not that clever, or I don't think it needs to be that clever at that point. All I'm basically trying to gauge is how difficult it's going to be. If you pick 5 or 6, that means it's going to be a complex project. If you pick just 1 or 2, we'll probably be able to do it really quick. And then you just say how many systems you're going to integrate. Let's say that you've got 3 systems you want to integrate with. So now it's going to take some time to figure stuff out. But when it does come back to us, hopefully it does, and it doesn't break again, that would be really a downer. No, it's there already. That was quick. So what it does, it actually goes through our logic, which is, again, stored in Power Automate. So it's really straightforward logic. And put some assumptions, so we're sort of writing, we're assuming these things are correct, and we're estimating it's going to take about 16 working days to get you going with a basic prototype. And that's, it's a ballpark figure. It's not a fixed cost price or anything like that. It's, for us, it's just a way to reassure customers that these things don't take, months and months. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get there. So yeah, and then finally, you sort of, we sort of finish the journey with a nice animation, and from here you can jump into our sort of free prototype Calendly page where you can book a meeting with me or my colleagues and sort of get started with this entire process. But that's, in a nutshell, what happens behind the scenes here. We've got a fully generated opportunity with all those details that we've described, with all those products fully configured, using the discounts and all of that stuff. And then from here, what we could do is, notify a salesperson, ask them to approve it, send it automatically to a customer. The rest is just standard dynamic stuff. But how do you arrive at that quote? We went from the sort of assumption that most of the customers are still sort of dealing with people sending RFQs by email. It's very rare that you find a B2B or a serious organization that does some sort of quoting where if it's not an e-commerce retailer, they rarely offer an online way to go through quotes because it's a complex process. And most of that logic exists only in Dynamics or in a selling system. So what we're trying to display or showcase here is how you can take that business logic and automation that you have in the system and actually turn it into a front-end process that your customer or your stakeholder, whatever internal user, can participate in seamlessly. Right, so I'm just gonna shut up for a second and see if there are any questions on what you guys seen. Is there any of this that interests you in any way, shape, or form?
Are you able to talk about how you built those custom components like the slider for the adaptive cards?
I wish I could, but I have no idea because I'm not the developer. So this is developers that build this stuff. I know it's a material UI essentially infused. What we do is we take the adaptive card that is generated in Flow and send it to our custom connector, and then we essentially pass it into material in some Angular React magic. But then we've taken the out-of-the-box adaptive cards controls and essentially called our own classes. And I'm sorry if that sounds like total rubbish what I'm saying, but basically build our own models on top of the out-of-the-box model. So you sort of, as far as adaptive card is concerned, it is standard control, but it's not. So we call these things sliders. So I think here, if I open this, I'll show you rather than talk about this. So I'll show you here that, you've got your input choice set, which is the standard adaptive card type. But then here we've got somewhere we've got progress, right? Progress is a custom control. And then we've got styler, which is another one somewhere down here, input.slider. And then we've got some parameters, but these parameters are your standard parameters from adaptive cards. So it's really, we're just putting a different clothes on the same body, so to speak, if that's an analogy you guys can live with.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. But I think overall it's if I may say so, it's an interesting approach, is that instead of building, because imagine if you try to build this sort of form, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with stuff like portals, right? Imagine trying to build a web form, and I've tried, I had to actually for my day job the other week to do that in Portal. And it was just really, really hard because you had to sort of define each of those things in a separate tab on your form and then call a web form step and then hook these things together. And it just took a long time. But what's really cool about this approach is that you build one adaptive card with all of those containers, and it's the parsing. And another good thing is that it's very fast because it loads the whole card in the memory first time you load it, and then the next step and the next step load almost instantly, as you've seen. So there are benefits to this, which I find it much quicker to build complex forms this way. I'll talk maybe a little bit more about what's actually driving this thing, because I've realized I've not explained this. So our product is predominantly a Power Automate connector. So we've got our connector certified on Power Automate. You can find us now. And here, when you sign up to our agent, you get this ability to essentially instigate intents. And intent is what your customer wants to do. So every time anybody clicks on this button on our website, this flow will trigger with this intent. and I'll show this to you once again. So let me just refresh this, go back to our intents, and you'll see that 2 seconds ago we've started a new flow. What's really cool about this, it allows you to debug quite complex journeys in a very straightforward way. So you literally go through all of this and see where it's got to and see what it's done. The reason I'm sort of putting these things in different conditions is I've got a stage parameter that I'm passing that tells me which stage of a conversation you're in. But if you just started, you don't have that parameter, which means it goes all the way to the end, and then it just shows you the standard basic adaptive cards and then notifies me that somebody is potentially interested. But the entire journey, and here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different cards are built in one flow. So again, instead of building 5 or 6 different flows or 5 or 6 different forms, you have everything in one place, and it's really, really straightforward to debug. And some of these processes here, you see that you're able to do quite a lot of cool things. Like here, we're just, we're filtering. So here when we start with a company, I'll give you an example of how this thing actually works in practice, is that one thing with the company, first we need to figure out is which currency you're using. So because this is a demo, instead of, I could go to Dynamics and pull the list of currencies and do all that, but we've only got 3 currencies and they're unlikely to change. So here I've just basically put in this array of currencies and then said, if ID is equal to body currency, which is the body currency is the parameter that you're passing me. So you're telling me which currency you want. I just filter to the right currency and then I do everything in the context of that particular currency. That's an example of some logic that we apply. Here we've got another switch that deals with the type of use cases that you've got based on industry, and then and etc. 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 So that's really how we drive these things. Is instead of designing it somewhere else, we design everything in the Power Automate, build everything in Power Automate, and then then you call our custom connector to build an adaptive card, or to build a card, or build text response, and then send that response. There's a lot more to it, but I realize we only got some time, and I really don't want to sort of overload you with technical details. So I think that's enough. Somebody has to stop me talking, basically.
That's great. That's really interesting.
Cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I think what I can also show you is something slightly different, because I think a lot of this time you see a lot of people plaster AI on top of everywhere. So I'll show you some of our AI capabilities, just so you don't think I'm full of hot air and I'm just, I'm not kidding. This stuff actually works. So one thing I'll show you very briefly is, this is again on our main page. We've got our standard sort of sales bot connected here. Actually, let me just refresh that. Yeah, sorry, I was too long on that page. Just one sec.
So as you're demoing this, I'm thinking this has some really interesting applications aside from Microsoft Marketing's capability to capture stuff from the website and bring it back to the forum. I really like the interactivity capabilities.
Oh, yes. I mean, in terms of us being able to bring stuff from the form, we're way ahead of what you're able to do with portals or with sorry to say that, virtual agents, simply because I've used both products quite extensively in my Dynamics career, and I know where the weak points are. So what we've done is we're interjecting the entire payload of a page, and when it calls our webhook, so we know your locale, we know your IP, we know a lot about the user, and especially if you've got any authentication already built in, then that authentication token will be passed to us. So it's a seamless integrated authentication regardless of your identity provider. So yeah, that's absolutely a valid point. So yeah, let me just show you this stuff. So I mean, this is the most standard question that people will ask us, and we've got an answer, right? But what we've also done is, for a lot of organizations, they'll struggle, and this is standard Q&A maker. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have seen Q&As, and this is a product called Q&A-maker.ai, which we use. It's a Microsoft product. We love it. We've not invented our own. It's that product. But what we're doing before our API, when our API triggers, we analyze which question you've asked, and then before we actually say, you know what, that doesn't make sense, we go, oh, actually, let's check if that would make sense if it was in English. So everything always goes back to the base language. We're truly multi-language product. That means that you can write your question in any language you want out of 170 something languages that Google Translate supports, 109, I think it is. And we will always translate. If we can't make sense what you're saying, we will go, oh, let's check, by the way, if it wouldn't make sense if it was in English or in German or in whatever language the bot was designed. So here, let's say somebody asks, which is in Polish, essentially, how much does it cost? And you'll see, I mean, you have to take me on my word because, you know, I don't think anybody here speaks Polish, but basically it translates that content into Polish. Without you writing Polish content or writing Polish training phrase, you supporting Polish or Chinese or any other language. And then, you know, I mean, all I can say is, you know, I just know a few words. I mean, we can test it for a long time, but you can, you know, you sort of get the gist, right, of this real-time translation capability. I hope that's cool.
That's super cool. I like that a lot.
Okay, I like that. Cool. So one more thing to show you. It's a little bit more out there, but this is an example that I really like using for customers that are sort of want to see how AI Builder. I think somebody mentioned Aiden, you mentioned AI Builder. I love AI Builder. I love cognitive services, but I really struggle with how very few organizations use AI effectively and actually do something with AI, you know? So we've done this very basic demonstration of a virtual assistant that works with your Dynamics, right? So you're on Dynamics and you're a new user, you don't know what you're doing, you've tried to get some help, but you couldn't do it. And here you can ask various questions, blah, blah, blah. But let's just imagine that you run into some screenshot, you know, you've got some error, you don't know what you're about to do. So what you can do is you can actually take this screenshot and paste it in here. And this is, you know, I'm sure we've all seen record is unavailable error. It will think about it, hopefully for not too long. Yeah, there it is. So it essentially reads that text and does some basic categorization of error. And it's, you know, says, you know, it's to do with your security. We will create support ticket. But what we need you to do is download the log file, because I'm sure most of you, if you're consultants, you've seen that where a customer goes to you, I've got an error. Have you got the log file? No, I've not downloaded it. Then you have to go and replicate it. So we're actually saying, you know, don't be an idiot. Download the log file. Send me the log file, right? So you go and do that. You do exactly that. You send me the log file. And then we basically say, you know, I've opened a form and this priority is high. And then you can submit that case. But when that case gets submitted, and I'll show you that case in a sec. I think it's going to be one of those millions of cases that we've created. I don't even know. Let's just open one random one. There's hundreds of those. This case will contain who it's assigned to, who reported it. So this was done by my colleague Mikhail, and the log that you've just sent over. So we're able to do that on our, and again, behind the scenes, we're just calling AI Builder. We're getting the image content, passing that into text, and then analyzing what type of issue it is. Another quite common application to this is actually on our main page. If you pay attention to this, what happens is when I send a screenshot of an issue, the bot responds that it's a graffiti. It's a little bit too fast, but I then share my location. My location is passed, and behind the scenes in Dynamics, we're recording what was the issue, who are you, and where are you, which are the 3 golden questions that you're supposed to ask when you're reporting on a case. Yeah, so that's that.
So can you, is there a way to get more complex content into that case? Say, for example, screenshots or something like that, if a person
Absolutely, anything. So, I mean, this example here, we would take that image that you've sent and actually store it. Because, I mean, I'll show you, because you're all sort of fairly technical, I hope. It's not really technical, but, you know, you're all fairly product orientated. I'll show you how simple this is behind the scenes. So if I open our, this is our main development environment, and I open that there is a flow called screenshot. And in that flow, what we do is you send us a screenshot. We've got a special trigger type for that, media. And when this screenshot intent is activated, we initialize some variables. But then what we do is we essentially get every attachment that you sent us, because you could send us multiple images. We're then analyzing what file type it is. We're checking if it's text. If it's not a text, go and do recognize text in an image. As I said, if it's text, just store it. But you see here, when we're creating log attachment, we have to converse, because it's a little bit iffy, the bits into base64, but you're essentially getting that file content and storing directly in Dynamics. It doesn't even need to go to OneDrive or SharePoint or anywhere. It just goes directly from your front client side into your Dynamics or into your Dataverse, right?
Okay, great. Our support department will be calling you tomorrow to set up.
I'm not, without kidding aside, this is exactly the reason why I do these calls. We're a young startup. It's only 4 people. We're actually I've recently resigned from my long-term permanent position. So I'm in a unfortunate situation where my engagement with my customer, I'd love to basically be able to do this to a lot more customers that we've been able to do. We've got several successful engagements and implementations. This is not demoware. This is not beta. This is the stuff that's actually working. But I'd love to basically get the message out there that there are applications, and just so if you're choosing to go down that route, you're not just getting, you're not just getting a login page and a bunch of tutorials that you have to figure out yourself. You're getting a team of experts that do it with you the entire way. So we offer a 7-day free prototype, no charge, no questions asked. And we're more than happy to work in whatever capacity. I know a lot of you will be probably on this call representing different partners. We're very open to collaborations and partnerships, and essentially anything you can do. If you feel anything what you've seen is something that would be applicable in your client or in any other clients you can have, I would really appreciate it, because I really hate to see bad chatbots. I want to see good chatbots, good interfaces, really proper stuff built. And I wish it happens.
Quick question, Artur. Do these flows come with the product, or do they have to build them themselves?
We build them with you, or you build them yourself, or okay. There are certain templates that we have and patterns that we use. So that's why we offer always 7-day free prototype, because I don't want people to start from scratch. It's very overwhelming. You start from something we've built for you and demonstrated that proves the concept, let's say connects one specific channel and use case, and then you build on top. But we wouldn't be asking for you to pay us to build the entire journeys or dialogues. All of that is self-served. So one thing I've not shown you is our model-driven app, which comes as part of the product, is essentially a way that you build these interfaces from a design time perspective. What I mean by that, you build the conversations here. So if I open this sales bot that I've just been showing you, so this is where we've got all the intents and entities and parameters. So you build the front-end conversation yourself, and then the fulfillment is done in Power Automate.